Hi, everyone. It's really great to get to be here with you today to share this message with you as part of our worship service. Our message today is going to be about usefulness and how, when we bring the right attitude towards being useful, it can really fill us with a lot of joy and purpose. Now, we're going to explore this looking at the story of the parable of the workers in the vineyard. This is a familiar story. It's where there are a bunch of workers gathered in the square, and a man comes looking for workers for his vineyard. He hires a few, he agrees to what their pay will be, 1 denarius, a full day's wages, and they go and work. Later, he comes to the square, and he finds there are still people looking for work, so he hires them for a full day's work. Later, he comes back, finds more, until he finds some who are really there still at the end of the day, so they're really only going to work an hour or so, but he hires them anyway for a full day's wage. Now, this doesn't quite make sense from his point of view. He's not getting his money's worth out of them, but it's almost as if he's hiring them not because he needs to get something out of them, he needs to get the work done. He's hiring them because he realizes that they need work and they need the pay. So we're going to come back around to that because that says a huge amount for how we approach being useful and serving other people. When you share something with someone else, when you, for example, are with a friend and you have an idea and you think it's going to help them, are you more focused on the outcome, or are you more focused on getting the praise, on what you're going to get out of it? In other words, is your focus on the use or the impact, or is your focus on yourself? I know for myself, it's not uncommon for me to be with a group of people or just talking with one person, and I have a really brilliant idea, and it's a really insightful idea, and I really want my chance to get this idea across. So I hold on to that thought, and I wait for the perfect moment to say it. And, I'm holding on to it. I don't want to forget this thought. I don't want to lose this thought. And I've completely forgot about what they say. I'm not paying attention to what they're saying anymore because it's all about, I want to be seen to be someone who has this interesting or insightful thought. Now, that can be pretty harmless. This can be pretty problematic when someone's really suffering. They're actually looking for help, and they really need some support. And all we can think of is ourselves and how brilliant our ideas are and how wonderful it will be that we get to help them. I've got something that's going to make a difference for them. It's interesting. We can even do this with, caring about someone's spiritual well-being, where we love the fact that they might be able to improve and to grow, but we get sidetracked into thinking how wonderful it will be if I get to be their savior, as it were. I get to be the one who comes in and I show them the right path. I've been through this before. I know what they're supposed to do, and I can get credit for setting them straight. Not only is that a somewhat selfish motive for trying to help someone, that focus on self actually destroys our ability to be useful, because it destroys our ability to focus on what's actually going to help the other person. It prevents us from hearing them and listening to them and seeing what the actual use here is. And that's really well illustrated by the workers who became resentful in the parable. They had worked the whole day, and they got paid the same amount as people who worked for an hour. They were really focused on what they got out of it. Now, that does sound like a pretty poor economic model, right? If you just paid someone for an hour's work, the same amount you paid them for 12 hours' work wouldn't work very well in the world of economics. But in the spiritual realm, we really have to let go of our preconceived notions of what works and what is fair. So let's look at this model a little bit that the parable gives us. The workers who began early in the morning were hired with the understanding that at the end of the day, they would be given 1 denarius, a fair day's wages. That's a fair pay for them. Those who were hired later were also told they would get a fair wage. although the landowner didn't tell them how much that would be. When it came time for the pay to be handed out, the ones hired last were given 1 denarius. The workers hired first understandably assumed, well, if they got 1 denarius and they worked 1 hour, and we worked the whole day, we're actually going to get paid more than what the agreed upon price was. Yet they too received just 1 denarius. Now, in our eyes, again, from an earthly point of view, this is just patently unfair. And we suffer that same sense of unfairness when we start focusing on what am I getting out of serving other people? What am I getting out of this interaction? Say you've been helping a friend with a problem, and he appreciates your support, but he also doesn't seem to be making any progress. And then someone else comes along, and they offer just one crystal clear piece of advice that really seems to change things for that friend. It turns things around. They've gotten insight now, they know what to do, and they go ahead and do it, and it even resolves their problem. Your friend then turns around, and he's very gracious. He's thankful for this person. Thank you so much for the effort of supporting me and caring for me. That really made a difference for me. You, sitting on the sidelines, might end up feeling some resentment, right? You've been there for your friend. You've been trying to help. You've been there through thick and thin, trying to help them out. And this person who just came along and gave one piece of advice, they get all the gratitude and all the praise. They did barely anything. They get all the praise. I spent hours on the phone, late at night, supporting you, doing everything I could. And I've gotten just as much thanks, maybe even less, than that other person got. Notice, though, that our focus has shifted. We're not focused on, did the useful thing get done? We're focused on how much did I get out of this? Likewise, the workers became resentful because they were more focused on what they got out of the interaction than on the useful things that had been accomplished. And that's not how the landowner was viewing the pay. He wasn't thinking of this as, oh, I'm going to give you exactly what you deserve based on the work that you've put in. He actually was seeing this as a gift to them. Him giving them this work and then paying them was a gift, not some economic exchange. At the end of the parable, he says to these resentful workers, "Friends, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is yours and go your way. I wish to give to this last man the same as to you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things?" And that last comment, that landowner saying, I can do what I want with my money. I can give it away to people freely who have done less work than you. I gave you something fair, and I gave these other people what I freely wanted to give them. And he didn't really care about the fairness of it. What he cared about is that these workers got a full day's wage. It's not like these workers were slacking off. They were looking for work, and the landowner cared that they get what they needed. And if they were willing to work for him at the very end of the day, he was going to cover the whole day's salary. He wasn't really giving them a wage. He was giving them a gift. Spiritually, this tells us something about how we should think of the work that we do for the Lord. The work that we do in serving Him, the work that we do in serving other people. We sometimes think we deserve a reward. It's only fair. I did much more that was more useful, so I deserve something back. You see how we start to think of these things almost as payment. The Lord owes me payment because I did work for Him. And that's not how the Lord thinks of it. No matter how much work we do or how little work we do, the Lord gives freely in response. And the reward for doing good work is that we get to experience the happiness of doing good work, the happiness of following the Lord, the happiness of serving the Lord. You can't balance that on a ledger and say, I did twice as much work, and so now I'm twice as happy. Or I did twice as many useful things, so I should get twice as much praise as someone else. The Lord doesn't work that way. If we're striving to do good and be good, He fills us up with joy and happiness and good things and blessings. It's not payment. It's a gift that's freely given. He gives us so much more than we ever could deserve, than we ever could earn. On the other hand, we destroy that happiness that He wants to give us when we allow ourselves to have this sense of entitlement or of deserving what we've earned. When we think we deserve recognition and we're resentful because we haven't been given the recognition for what we've done, we've taken that free gift from the Lord and we've turned it into a payment. We're starting to care more about what we get out of it than the fact that something useful or good happened. So how do we shift this? Well, when someone gets credit and praise for doing something good, even though you maybe worked harder, be happy that something good happened. Be happy that this other person is doing something good. We can't get resentful that they did less work or put in less effort. We can see this even at the big picture level of a lifetime. When you've spent your life, from the time you were young to the time you were older, working hard, repenting, trying to shun evils as sins, trying to look to the Lord, and then someone else only begins down that life late in life, they lived a full life of debauchery and doing all sorts of unkind, cruel, selfish things, and they had a lot of fun, and only now they're turning to follow the Lord. Don't get resentful that they get the same benefit as you do. Be happy for them. Be happy they've found this thing that you've had for your whole life. Be glad that now both of you get the reward of following the Lord, of being a good person. In the end, what's at stake is our happiness. If we're always trying to measure up who's done more good, who deserves more praise, more credit, more recognition, it robs us of happiness. But if we focus on the outcome, and we care less about who did the good thing, and we care more about the fact that something good was done, the reward is happiness and joy. So what would it be like if we took on that heavenly attitude, and instead of asking, what do I get out of this, we ask ourselves, is what I'm going to do useful? Will it serve others? Do I truly have the interest of other people at heart? Can I let go of needing to be the one who gives help and just be grateful that someone gave help, even if it wasn't me? That's the attitude of the angels in all that they do. I want to finish by sharing this passage that talks about the reward for doing good, because it's not a reward that's like a payment or a wage. It's a reward that's like a gift. Works, therefore, which are done for the sake of reward, are not good in themselves, since they do not spring from a genuine source, that is to say, out of charity towards the neighbor. Charity towards the neighbor holds within itself the desire that the neighbor will do just as well as oneself. And in the case of the angels, the desire that the neighbor will do even better than oneself. Such is the nature of the affection that goes with charity.